Let's do just to show that I'm not biased. I'm going to read 3 Texas poets. Three of my favorites, by the way. I don't know if Larry's still officially a Texan or not. Last I heard, he was headed for New Mexico, but he was former poet laureate of Texas. So I want to read one of his poems from his book, As If Light Actually Mattered. Larry Thomas, better known as Buffalo. It's called Dying Vultures at Sundown. I came upon it in a pasture in the middle of nowhere. Thinking at first it lay dead. Too weak to stand, it raised its head, hooded with tufts of red flesh, looked me in the eye, and blinked. Showing neither fear nor any hint of struggle, it stretched out its wings, sank their tips into the desert, and pulled them like black oars, easing the rowboat of its body through the shadowy waters, which all its fetid existence had charmed and nourished it. Larry, quite a guy. As is the next Texan, and again, I don't know if he's a full-fledged Texan or not, Brady Peterson. This is his latest book, At the Edge of Town, poems by Brady Peterson. I just wanted to read, he signed it for me, and the inscription in it, the inscription in this thing really moved me. And then I've got a poem of his. Ron. The little guy, bottom right, in the corner is me, a boy that cuts through. Should have grown up to play for the Yankees. Too bad I couldn't hit the curve. Love, Brady. I got 2 of his books. The other one, in his little part that he wrote for me, he talked about the day August 2nd, 1979. Never mentioned what was anything about it. He just, the last words were, that was the day after he was getting a hose replaced or something on a busted motor, and he said that was a guy told me the news. And a few of us know what news occurred on August 2nd, 1979. But this poem is called Things We Don't Talk About. Don't write in first person, a friend advises, as if ego could be overcome or erased by altering pronoun case. I chased away night demons by waking early and refusing to go back to sleep. I am awake in a dark house. It is cold. I start the coffee and pull the curtains back in my front room. The sun is an hour away. Even now, the morning traffic has started to pick up headlights and the hum of tires on asphalt. I pour a cup of coffee, tap my keyboard, waking the screen. I read a personal email from an old student asking for editorial help. Do I charge for my work, he asks. I junk the rest. On Facebook, for some reason, I search out an old friend, something I do once a year, and read where he died suddenly last spring. His niece doesn't say how. Heart attack, COVID-19, a bullet to the head. So many are dead now, old friends. I scribble a note to his niece about teaching with him in '84, about drinking Shiner Bock on the student union patio every Friday, 3 of us, where we discussed serious matters. Mary Shelley's maiden name, Fidel Castro and Edna Pontellier, whether she made it to Cuba or not, George Meade at Gettysburg, if there was a better beer than Shiner Bock. This was in 1984, before the microbrewery explosion. I didn't tell her, my friend's niece, about his seeing two sisters at the same time, and the evening one showed up at his house with a gun. Nightmares are made of this. And one more from the Texas Connection, Alan Berecka, who has written graciously the introduction to my new book of poetry, which hopefully will be out this spring. But this is about a poem he and I both love called Body and Soul by B.H. Fairchild. And his poem's entitled Thoughts on Body and Soul, in honor of B.H. Pete Fairchild. And you swear it couldn't be done. But there was Willie Mays, running full tilt back into the polo grounds, endless center field, to make an over-the-shoulder basket catch. Not done, he pirouetted like Nijinsky, let loose like Zeus, a white bolt that caught some poor sap trying his best to get back to first. And the whole ballpark rose thinking, there's no way, while Sehe doffed his cap and trotted in. A machinist's son, stuck in Kansas, escaped to his room and listened to a vinyl spinning jazz while he practiced riffs on his tenor sax, honing his craft, but never finding the art that hid before him, just beyond reasoned thought in the secret of improvisation. When Gretzky was in his prime, he'd gain the zone with speed and then do a button hook. Play-by-play men often remarked, there's no way a man can think that fast. They'd slow down the replay, trace the path of the great one's pass, show how the pluck left his tape, how it saucered just over a defensiveman's stick, how it found its way through a blur of skaters and legs, how it landed in open ice, the perfect feed to a streaking coffee, sneaking in from the opposite point, who scored into the unguarded back door of the net as the goalie, bathing in red light, still clung to the wrong pipe. I just finished reading Body and Soul for the 100th time, the masterwork of a one-time pipe fitter and failed jazzer, and I'll be damned if I understand how I can again land square in the middle of these men's lives, how I got pulled back into the middle of that ball field, but this time it's not the Mick playing the role of the blue-eyed bringer of the truth. It's Pete Fairchild staring down this minor league poet, delivering the harsh truth about the vast gap between my talent and his genius. And I know exactly how you feel, Mr. Bareka. That's from his book, Remembering the Body.